Hi everybody, welcome back to Frannie's Square. I'm Frannie and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today I want to talk about granny squares. Granny squares are one of the most basic items in crochet. You'll see them in blankets, in clothes, in purses, and you'll even see them on high-end fashion runways. So what I want to tell you about today is two different methods for making the granny square. First, the method that most people are taught is this method. And as you see, it's not exactly square. It gets a little bit wavy in places. The stitches kind of start to turn. I call it pinwheeling. And also it doesn't quite lay flat. Now you can always block it and make it more square looking. Blocking is not one of my favorite things to do. I do block when I need to, especially for clothing. For blankets, I don't really like to block all that much. I'm lazy. Okay, so the second method, the one I'm going to show you today, yields a square, flat granny square. So both methods have their pros and cons, which I'll discuss as we get to work. So grab your hook, grab your yarn, and let's go make some granny squares. Okay, so to demonstrate the granny square, I'm using Softly Baby yarn. It's a 3-weight yarn. I chose 6 colors, and I'm going to do several rounds for you to demonstrate what exactly I'm talking about when I talk about the difference between the two methods. In addition, I am using a size 4mm G hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the white for my center. And the first thing you need to do when you're starting a granny square is to make a magic circle. There are other ways. You can do a chain and then slip stitch to the first chain. So you could do a chain of 4 and slip stitch to the first chain. But in that method, you can't pull the center any tighter than it is. And I like to have the option to make it as tight or as loose as I want in the center. So to make a magic circle, I lay the tail in the palm of my hand, like this. Then I wrap the yarn around these 2 fingers and make an X and grab onto it with this finger, just like that. Then I take my hook and stick it under this yarn, which is closest to my fingernail, and over top of the other, and pull that underneath and twist up. Then, using the working yarn that I'm holding, I just grab that with my hook and pull it through that loop, and now I have a magic circle. Okay, so to start a basic granny square, you're going to chain 3. And that counts as your first double crochet. So just 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to do 2 more double crochets into the center of this circle. So I yarn over, go into the center of the circle, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. I yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do that one more time. Yarn over, go into the center of the circle, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now I have my first 3 chain and 2 double crochets. So that counts as 3 double crochets. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. Okay, so now I have 1 cluster of 3 double crochets, so you can see this, a chain 2 and another cluster. Now I'm going to chain 2 again. I'm going to do another cluster of 3 double crochets. Then I'm going to chain 2, and I will do my last cluster of 3 double crochets. So it's a total of 4 clusters of 3 double crochets separated by 2 chains. And you'll see what that looks like. Okay. Then I'm going to chain 2. All right. Now, the magic of the magic circle is that we can take this tail and pull it so that the center of the magic square is tight. And you can make that as tight or as loose as you want depending on your design. I usually prefer a tight center. And then I'm going to slip stitch this chain 2 that I just made to the top of the chain of my first 3 chains, the one that I considered the double crochet. So, let's see if you can see this here. There is a chain here, and this is the top of my 3 chains. So I am going to slip stitch by putting my hook into that chain at the very top, yarn over, and then pull through that chain as well as the chain on the loop on my hook. And that is the center of my granny square. Now I'll just yarn over and pull, and I'll cut that off. And here is the center of the granny square. Beautiful. And I like to weave in my ends at the end of every round, just so I don't have a bunch of ends to do all at once. Okay, for round 2, I'm going to use pink. I'm going to just make a slip knot by wrapping around my finger and pulling up a loop, just like that. Now I like to attach my second round, or every round, to a corner. So you'll see when you're looking at this, you can see clearly where the corners are, those spaces there, the corners of your square. So I put my hook in one corner and into the yarn, and I pull it through, and then I chain 3, counts as my first double crochet, and then I do 2 more double crochets into that same space. 1, 2, then I do 2 chains, and then 3 more double crochets into that space. So there you can see I've made another corner. Now I'll chain 2 and go over to my next corner and do the same thing. 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. Then I'll chain 2, go to the next corner, and do the same thing. And I'll do that for this corner, then chain 2, and then 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets for this corner. And then I'll chain 2 at the end of my last corner. And then I'm going to attach to the top of the first chain 3 that I made when I started this round. So I'm going to just slip into that first chain. Oops, let me move my arm behind. Slip into that first chain, And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through that chain and pull through the loop on my hook. And now just pull as if to chain and cut off. And pull it tight and weave in your ends, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so now we're going to start round 3, and again we'll make a slip knot. And I'm going to insert my hook into one of the corners. You can see the corners very clearly now. So I will insert my hook into this corner here and attach to the slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And double crochet, 2 more double crochets into the same corner. 1, 2, 2 chains to make the turn on the corner, and then 3 more double crochets into that same corner. Okay, so that makes our corner, our first corner. And then we're going to chain 2 and go to this open space in the center now. And in this space, we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll do 2 more chains to get over to the next corner. So every time you're moving to another spot, you're going to do 2 chains to get there. And then every corner, it's going to stay the same every time, is 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets. Okay, so for the rest of this round, you will chain 2 over to the space, put 3 double crochets, chain 2 over to the corner, do your corner, which is 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets, and you're going to go that way all the way around, and I will meet you after you do this last space. Okay, so I just finished the last 3 double crochets in this space here, and what I'll do now is chain 2 to get over to the corner. And then I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the first chain 3. And then fasten off. And tighten that up. And weave in your ends, and I will meet you back here. Okay, so that is the end of round 3. Now, as you can imagine, all you need to do each round is the same exact pattern. Every corner, 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets, then you're going to chain 2 to your next space, and in the spaces, you'll just do 3 double crochets. Then you'll chain 2 to your next space and do 3 double crochets, and then you'll chain 2 to the corner and do your corner again. And that's the way you can continue making your square as big as you like, doing as many rounds as you like, and just continuing that pattern. So I'm going to add a few more rounds because that will help me demonstrate the difference between both methods. I'll be back shortly. Okay, so here's the finished granny square. Now you can see that it's not perfectly square. It kind of does this wave a little bit. And the bigger I go, the more pronounced that becomes because it's starting to kind of pinwheel in that direction. You can see the stitches going that direction. Now there are pros to using method 1. First of all, it's very easy and straightforward. Every single round you work into with the right side facing you every single round. So that's easy. You don't have to remember anything about that. And it's easy to remember which side to weave your tails into, which is the back side there. Also, because every round is done with the right side facing, you'll see the fronts of each of the rounds. And the way you can tell it's the front is it has like the raised stitch along the edge, whereas on the back, it doesn't. It's just flat along the edge. You can block this to make it more square if you like, and usually when you sew it into something, you really don't notice it. The next method I'm going to show you really makes a square granny square that is flatter, and that's this one here, and I'm going to take you through making that, but you can see right away how that's square and that's flat. So stay tuned for part 2. We're going to be doing that next.